Peace, family. So I'm back with another one. Today what I wanted to do is I wanted to talk to my chosen ones about this toxic masculinity crisis and this magical spell they created. This toxic masculinity. It's like this new wave of people trying to put toxic on top of everything, which it is some witchy sauce on everything, so I understand it to a degree. But the way that this toxic masculinity have been being used, they are using this formula to kind of suppress real men and men who operate following that God frequency. So you gotta think about when people are using this shit, toxic masculinity. Like, we in Western society, right? I don't care if you in China's Western, Europeans Western, Africa's Western, you in Western society somewhere. So if we know that we in a system where they are taking most of the masculine energy, masculine men, they are converting them into more feminine men. That means that most middle grounds will be eliminated. Most grounds will be eliminated. And then also with having the toxic masculinity thing, a lot of people in the Western society don't even understand male and female roles because they want to put us in the same basket. Like, I can't produce a baby in my womb. I don't have a womb. I have a stomach, a belly. You know what I mean? So like, a lot of these things is already understood, but a lot of these people and entities out here are so brainwashed, and some are just so adamant on using that demonic playbook that they're gonna ride with that same energy either way it goes. So for me, understanding like toxic masculinity, like if I got 10 guys over here, the system done converted 8 of them into being a lot more feminine. Then we got 2 men who are in their masculine energy. And let's say one is using it the witchy way, one is using it the godly way. You would have to be able to distinguish which playbooks these beings are using first. I hate the fact that people automatically put a boxer in the same category as like a UFC fighter when they're using 2 different playbooks. UFC, you can use your feet. Boxing, you cannot use your feet. So look at it, when I use those 2 analogies, it's just kind of coming to me. I would look at the boxing as the more godly, righteous way, right? You fighting standing up, squaring up, hands up, no feet, no elbows, no headbutts, none of that. And I would use the UFC as a more demonic formula. It's not, UFC fighting is not demonic. I'm just talking about as far as, for instance, in comparisons, just to paint a picture for you. UFC, you can headbutt, you can use elbows, you can use knees, feet, shins, all of the above. So, with us being in society where we are at, right, a lot of us want our cake and ice cream and we want to eat all of it and we don't want to share it, but that's not going to happen. So what we have to do is we have to understand some things we got to chuck it up as a loss. You're not going to be able to dance around in the middle forever. Like, what I mean by dancing in the middle is we did have some men who didn't have, when we didn't have this technology, to research and learn things from other masculine men, other males that was just around in general, whether they used the information or didn't use the information. Mostly what we was learning was from our proximity. A lot of things is based off our proximity, our living environments. And I know for me, when I was growing up in those weird spaces, see, for me, before they start using toxic masculinity, most men who was in their masculine energy used to just be called a dick or some other kind of weird name. You know what I'm saying? So for me, like, I got called a dick growing up. Even though I have a big heart and I will bend backwards for those around me, You know what I'm saying? A lot of other attributes. But that was one of the stigmas that I had got pinned on me. You know what I'm saying? Oh, he a dick. Or, oh, he's mean. Or he could be an asshole sometimes. And it's like, nah, I could just be honest and straightforward. You expected me to be like either complacent or submissive, even with me not having all the knowledge and information, because I knew energetically and spiritually I was in tune with myself. And I knew that I wasn't doing it with ill intentions. But I would like to say most of the toxic masculinity will have to be awarded and goes to the women. You know what I'm saying? When you want to talk about toxic masculinity, you have to look at the women who turn their ovaries into testicles. You know, I always use that when I see or I'm engaging with a woman and they start doing that bulk and raising up thing. Like, men, we know that we're not going to go up to Shaquille O'Neal without any weapons, talk shit to him, and expect him not to get violent or physical. And most of us understand that he old as hell now, but before, like, with his size and shit, like, you just don't do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just something that it don't have anything big people can get beat down to. What I'm saying is, men process these things. We evaluate every man that is in our facility and we size them up. That is our process. We are protectors, and we need to know we need to position ourselves for the best outcome, being a protector. So, understanding these things, like, most of the toxic masculinity is coming from the women, if it is even a thing. It's a lot of women out here that's not in their feminine energy, that's being more masculine, that's more argumentative, that's more aggressive, that's more violent. I done had a handful of violent women's after 2013, 2014. Before 2013, 14, I never dealt with a violent, toxic, masculine woman in my life. You know what I'm saying? So it's wild that they try to put the toxic masculinity on man. Like, what we call a toxic masculine male in natural law is really just a man being a masculine man and being solid. Not speaking for the ones that's being demonic and using these witchy spells and manipulation and all these other things. I'm speaking as far as for the ones who's moving in their God light, you know what I'm saying, and moving towards a more righteous path. They doing more helping and healing around them. So just kind of understanding these things, like, it's a lot of wish spells, it's a lot of things being worked on to hold us down, to hinder us, to kind of push us off to the side. You got to think about it. What they call toxic masculinity, they basically put any male who has testosterone in that basket. You know what I mean? Like, I'm one of them people that can, like, I can go out in war right now, and in the matter of 5 seconds, I could be holding my daughter and comforting her. You know what I mean? So it's like, we know how to turn it on and off. We know when we're supposed to exude more of it and when we're supposed to subtract it. And a lot of people don't get this because they put everybody, if you're going to put everybody in the same box, because I'm cool with labeling. You just have to know what side of the fence you putting them on. You know what I mean? Like, if you're a Capricorn and you move righteously or any of them damn signs, because I don't really follow them, but if you follow them, if you follow any of these signs, right, and you moving in your highest light, you helping and healing people, 10 times out of 10, when you run into another Capricorn or Leo that's like you, you're not gonna look at that other being as if they are a reflection of you. They are not moving at their highest vibration. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I'd be like not trying to follow those signs or emphasize or push that on to people or do anything with those, because you got to take into account for where they at right now, where they're building and growing towards, and you got to take into account to the signs that raised them. You know, a lot of people want to have, oh yeah, I'm a Libra. bitch, yeah, but I was raised by a Scorpio and a Pisces, and I got siblings that's a Leo and all these other things, you know what I'm saying? So we take on those attributes and characteristics as well too, you know what I mean? So be mindful of this toxic masculinity shit. Like, for me to move in a more righteous light and for me to engage with people, especially people who ain't took my steps, I'll be every fucking piece of toxic masculinity there is. Because I'm going to show the next generation that you don't have to be a feminine male out here. You don't have to be a submissive male. You don't have to be a complacent male. We're supposed to be leaders, so it don't even make sense to be putting ourselves in these submissive ass, complacent ass situations. We supposed to be way more solid, you know what I mean? So a lot of these men ain't even solid enough to protect or provide for a woman. And I'm talking about providing spiritually, not financially. Like, everybody always runs straight to the dollar bill. The dollar bill is cool, but they shut this shit down, then what? You're going to need to be protected in all areas. And somebody breaking in your house is a completely different protection than those nightmares and those time travels you have where those demons is in your spiritual space. You know what I'm saying? I be in all those realms. People always only think about the physical protection, but I spiritually protect the ones around me as well too. Don't get it fucked up. We start inwardly, outwardly. So before you get the chance to get to the physical, I'm going to start putting some defenses in effect for the ones that I care about around me on the inside. You know what I'm saying? I make sure I keep a light or being an entity watching. I make sure I'm time traveling into these spaces to make sure everybody is Gucci. You know what I'm saying? We don't look at these things right here. They just see it as, oh, well, nobody's breaking in my house. I can call the police after I'm dead. And it's like, yeah, that's not going to work. The police are reactionary. So while women are feeling like they can do all of these things in their toxic masculine energy, you know, it's why the structure is all fucked up. And why we got these men simping and being all extra feminine, it got the system fucked up. You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't trust somebody. So, like, I don't knock the other community, you know, the confused community. The one where they could be a duck, a cat, all that shit, right? But it's hard for me to take somebody like that serious or as a leader when you aren't even serious within yourself. So for me, it's harder to listen and take people who are confused in that space, because you already are not following natural law. So even if I see somebody speaking legitimate information, if it's a girl pretending to be a boy, you lose a lot of validity. If you're a boy pretending to be a girl, you lose a lot of validity. You're trying to convince somebody of some information that's already flowing out here, but you're not even walking a righteous way of life. You put your sexuality in front of the role you're supposed to be playing. That means you saying God made a mistake. So if God made a mistake, then motherfucker, you perfect. You know what I mean? I ain't gonna run up too long. Tapping everything down below. Peace and love to the kings and queens.